G'day, how are ya? This is Michael from O'Donnell's Aussie Homestead. Crikey, I've got some ideas for you. You're probably wondering, what came first? Him or him? Well, hang on a minute. It's truth. Stop, Michael, stop. That's what you're thinking. I know what you're thinking. What's it good to do with the whole collaboration? Well, I can tell you. There's 5 lessons I've learnt on the homestead. This is where it gets confusing. Chicken or the egg? The troll or YouTube? This is where it gets tricky. That's what I'm going to show you. I'm going to give you 5 lessons I've learnt on the homestead. Have you learnt your lesson? Have you learnt your lesson? Trolls out there. No, I'm thinking about a particular troll. Now the lesson is this. There's 5 other people besides me doing this collaboration. Really nice people. And I'm going to tell you to go over and see them. Just stop right now. Go over and see them. Because, see, the lesson I've learned here is that without YouTube, I would have stuffed up more than I have on this farm. That's bad income. The way it is this. The moment I went and got onto YouTube, or the moment I got this farm, I said, what am I going to do? And the first thing I actually wanted to do was, I wanted to go into chickens. So I went over and seen Becky. I've got to admit, because I just found her and that thing. There was a couple of places I've found and I've stuck with over the years, and I still see them. And but I'm finding other people who are like-minded to me, and that's really good. And that's been the likes of these 5 people. Now, one is Homestead Oz with Lynn and Wayne. Now they are really nice people. In fact, without her, I just had a person come over to me, and from her, and even said so, and his name's Oxygen Farming. Now, he only lives 45 minutes down the road, maybe a little bit more. Well, who knew? I got a bloke that close to me. That was a pumper. That was really good. So, and he's got a website. Oh, he's got a website, a YouTube channel. That's the coincidence behind it. Now you're still wondering, what's he got to do with it? Well, again, without the YouTube, look, I'll tell you now, I was watching, doing all these names. Actually, I better go through the names now. I'm digressing. Like I said, Homestead Oz, Victoria. Little Gardens, Big Dreams with Kathy and Tim. They are in Victoria too. You've got In the Yard Homestead. In the Yard, correct, yes. With Josh. There's Farming Life Australia with John. There's the Nature Patches with Robin. Now, again, the lesson I have learned is this. Lynn and Kathy, if you watch the last, go back and look at the last collaboration we did, only on Friday. Now, this is Lynn, she told me that thistle I was doing from 2 days before that'd be Wednesday, about the thistle. Now you need to see that too. If you go and look in the comments, you'll see where she says it. This is Homestead Oz. She said, this is Lynn, that you can get a thistle, not thistle, you can use thistle as well, but the stinger nettle I've got here, you can make a tea out of it. The tea would help with likes of kidneys and things like that. And she actually had a situation where she needed it, and either an operation or it. I hope I'm not telling out of school. And she took rather than the operation, she just did this for 3 weeks, because you asked, give me 3 weeks to see if I can fix it myself, and she fixed it. There's a little bit more to it than just the stinger nettle, but that's what you need to find out. You go down over and see it. Josh, he's a bushman. He can teach you all about the bush. So the lesson here is use YouTube. Use these people, because these people here that we're talking about, they can teach you stuff. There's the lesson there. That's number one lesson. Use YouTube, use my friends, and you can't go wrong. I'm telling you, the information. There's another one out there. This is the thing. Why I talk about this little fella is when I was walking around the other day on Friday doing my 5 or 6 lessons for being frugal. Actually, what it was called is 6 frugal tips I learnt on the farm. I think it was something to that effect. Go back Friday. Anyway, and a friend of mine has been a long time subscriber, and I subscribe to him because he's got great information. And actually, I get a bit nervous when I go when I do something to do with metal, because he's really into it, and I think, oh, he's gonna pick on me, but because I don't do it all very neat, but he doesn't, and he helps me. And then here's the story. He says to me, "No, rather than say anything about this, I think you need to go to my comments on Friday, have a look down there, find Troll Forge." No, he's a good troll. He's not a bad troll. That's the point I was saying about the trolls on YouTube. Who came first? Well, there's some really nice trolls out there. They're not all bad. And Troll told me a secret about him, about this little beastie of mine, this little trouble. And he's seen him on Friday, and he's seen I mentioned about a problem, and he came back. He could say it more eloquently than me. He said it really neat. So rather than me say it, you go there and have a look. And I'm waffling, but you go over on Friday for Friday's one and see what Troll Forge said. And while you're at it, go and look on his channel. Subscribe, because like all the other people, there's some good people out there on YouTube. Now I'm going to put you down. Don't you give me any trouble. So, by the way, that's 2. Run away, little bugger. Run away. Look, I'm going to put this egg back because it's actually a fertile egg and the mummy's waiting for it. That's right. Run away, little doggy. The next one. What have I learned on the homestead? Number 3 is coexistence. That birds, pigeons, quail, yes, can all live happily together. That's, to me, it was pretty amazing, because they do both like hanging on the ground, as you can see there. And I learned a lot about quail from the internet again. My first person I ever went to and subscribed to and learned about rabbits and, well, not first, but the second, sorry, was Slightly Redneck. And I believe he deserves to be dubbed an honorary Aussie, because he has done that. I dub you Sir Redneck. There you go. He's now an Aussie, so it's okay to talk about him. Another thing I learnt, a lot about how to use worms to my advantage. And that was from another YouTuber, Marty's Garden. He's an Aussie just up the road from me, 3 hours away. He is awesome. And he's been getting another YouTube channel, mainly to do with his photographing, I reckon, because he's into that more so. And then another person I learned about, one of the people I went to learn about the likes of quail, and that's what I'm doing here, was, what is his name? Oh, shouldn't forget it, Mark from Self-Sufficient Me. He's another Aussie, all the way up in Queensland. He's up there with Robin. He is a huge YouTuber because he knows how to teach you. Another great lesson. Don't, just because they're big doesn't mean they're bad. They're good people, especially when they're Aussies. Well, there's the next lesson for you. Behind me, see that little post there, halfway broken, burnt, halfway up, burnt off. See that one behind me, up there, half burnt away. Now, look over here next to this other post, just there. See that? Now look up here. Burnt away. Burnt away. Burnt away. What's the lesson here? Softwood. And there's hardwood. This is treated. Hardwood's not. It's hard. Now my mistake was, and I learned from it, is when I'm on a farm, I had a big farm before, it was about 6,000 acres. There was actually two. One was 5.5, the other one was about 500 I had. And the lesson there was they're hardwood. And every now and then, like a lot of farmers do, they've got a lot of rubbish building up along the fence. And this is what I'm going to talk about, maintenance on your fences. A big lesson to be learnt here. Now, if you've got actually, there's another YouTuber, and I will now, before I can talk about him, I've got to knight him. This is about Aussies. I'm knighting him, and he is now an Aussie for the day, and that's Arms Family Homestead. Now, he's over in Oklahoma. He's a YouTuber. He was one of the first people I went to just to say, I was actually after goats, learn about goats there. Now, there's another one I've got to talk about. Now, g'day.
In the middle of a chat, are you?
Yeah.
I was just wondering if you know whether it has post hole diggers.
To hire?
No, it's to buy. You know, like hand ones.
No, not of hand, no. Only Bunnings.
Yeah, I know, you've never got a plunger.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
They're junk.
Nicely painted they are. Alright, then say it.
No worries. Anyway, sorry about that, but hey, that's life. People just pull you over. This is the funny thing about this place. It's next to a quiet, it's semi-quiet road. Sometimes it's full of people and they're crazy. Anywho, oh yes, Arms. And he did one the other day about fencing. And he said about maintenance of your fence. And basically, if you put a new fence up, continually just tidy it up. Just fix those little spots. Fix those little spots that have got a little twig growing up. If you get it when it's a twig, it's not a problem. And he showed his fence where he'd been looking after it, the neighbour, for the past 20 years. Then he went up a bit further where he doesn't go, and it was a solid bush. Now, that's what happened here. This had become solid bush. And I did what I did out bush. You burn along your fence lines, don't you? Because it would just go and clean it up. Well, here I made the mistake. I never thought about it. Softwood, full of blooming cyanide or something, arsenic. Nice little fire burner. And lost all my posts. I cleaned the fence up, but lost half of them. So, see there, I've got a post hole drill. Oh, hang on, look at there. See that? See it there? You can see that? I drilled the holes. I'm going to watch out, just now and then they'll hurt my goats. But I drilled the holes, I'm going to put new ones in. But I haven't got around to it because I had to put a drill beside it because they've got concrete around them, hasn't it? So there you go. That's the extra one. That's for you. Look after your fences. Now this one sort of runs a little bit with the idea of fences, but it's not the same. And that is, you don't always have a trouble with fences when the flood comes through. Now, see here. This is where I'm going to be putting my access road, making it better than it was before. It was a little bit of a bunch of rocks in the bottom and that stuff there. Now look at this fence. It went through the big storm about 4 months ago. And I thought, well, sure as eggs, this fence is going to get torn out. To the point, I made it so, or the rocks are holding it at the moment, but that would lift. That's why I put these pegs over here. They're just sitting, this is why he's only sitting there. Because when I had the place out west, it was at Coonabarabran, actually. I had the problem all the time of when the floods come through, the fence will have to lift, otherwise it'll get knocked down by the flood. But that's not always the case, because here, it never got touched. Was it a miracle fence of mine? No. What it was, is if you look at the ground around here, we're down in a hole. This here fence is lower than all the ground around, and where it crosses the road over there. See, because you can see the houses there. There's a big old pond out there, or actually a floodplain, whatever you want to call it. The water doesn't come this way normally. The water doesn't come this way normally. It goes out that way or up that way there. Or out that way there, or into the rest of it. Here, just a dry, it's usually normally dry. But when the water comes up high enough, it busts its banks. Where's the lowest bank? Down there. So, but it's higher than here. So when the water comes, when it raises in a flood, it just comes up slowly, and when it reaches over the fence, it's still there's no pressure on it, because it's only 50 yards long. And then it goes a little higher, and then it rushes, and it breaks the bank. But then all that motion is on the top. It's not on the bottom. It's like that little duck we talk about, you know, little feet going a million mile an hour under the water, but on the top he's just going slow. Well, it's the opposite way around here. When it gets up high enough, the water is faster on the top. So, that's another lesson to be learned. That just because you have a fence, when it floods, it doesn't always come down. The one up the top, oh yes, it got a flogging. It really did. It got beaten up so bad. But here, not touched. Another lesson. Oh, you're really getting a good lot of lessons to be learned here from me. Look, one of the lessons you should learn is Michael can talk underwater, and with a mouthful of marbles, and he loves to talk, and I've done more than my 6, I'm sure, and if I haven't, I'm going to give you some more. See, that almost rhymes. And that is goats. Do not get goats. I know, I'm going to add to it. Do not get goats before you make your goatify your property. You've got to goatify it. Because if you don't goatify it, you will pay for it. These little orchard here, I have replaced them maybe 3 times. And if anybody's ever bought fruit trees, you'll know how expensive they are. They kept on destroyed. I kept on having to improve. If I'd just done it super strong in the beginning, I wouldn't be crying. I am crying a bit at the moment too. There's one there, just there. It's actually only got 3 pieces on it. Oh, 2 now. One of them's found a way, could lean over and get all the branches, just reach them, because they were hanging out wide. So I'm going to have to bring that up higher. So unless you're prepared to lose your fruit trees, don't get a goat. You've got to fix it up first. Really, really make it strong. I can't emphasize that enough. Anybody that had goats will tell you. So if you go to some people who know about goats, have a chat to my friends here, the 5 we're dealing with, and working with, and you go over to see them. Josh has got goats. He'll tell you all about it. Look, there's a multitude of people who can help you. Aussies, you know, there you go. So yes, fortify. Listen to Michael. There's another one, another lesson to be learned. And there was another one too. Oh yeah, and if an animal hasn't got a friend, he will make friends with another species. My alpaca, my goose, all buddying up. Gee, I'm on a roll. Anywho, Oh, and here's another lesson. You must go to the other 5 people who are working with me. Lynn and Wayne, Karen and Tim, Josh, Robin and John. Go to them, tell them I sent you, and give them the big thumbs up, subscribe to them, and ring that notification bell, because how else are you going to learn about the farming life here in Oz? Catch ya.